If you are a Gen Z man, or you are a man of any age in today's world, and you are not struggling every single day, and you are not pushing yourself every single day, then you are living your life in a very dangerous, destructive way. Every single thing about the human body was designed and engineered to work, solve problems, and persevere and push through resistances of all different kinds. Anything and everything in this world that is worth doing will present you with some sort of resistance. That can be resistance in the form of fear. It can manifest in the form of resentment and hatred from other people. It can manifest itself in the form of jealousy from other people because they feel like you think that you can do something that perhaps they're too afraid to try, or they're just too lazy to try. Whatever it is, resistance will always present itself, and the road to success, or even the road to heaven, is going to be paved with serious struggle and serious resistance. Ask yourself any time in your life when you have turned away from resistance and you've turned away from struggle, and you've instead pursued comfort and complacency and not facing your fears and just staying where you're comfortable. All of those times in a man's life are going to be times that are remembered for how depressing they were and how much respect they lacked for themselves, and very likely how much they hated everyone around them and how little respect they showed to people around them, because of course you can't respect people. You cannot respect other people if you don't respect yourself. When you pursue comfort and you no longer respect yourself, and you begin that downward spiral that millions and millions of young men, Gen Z men, are suffering with, a trap that they have fallen into, you begin to compromise in many ways. You begin to just let yourself go. You begin to just let the demons start to take control of you and insert and interject little arrows, little darts, little spears into your life, into your mind, into your soul, namely the filth, the laziness, the substance abuse, the smoking weed, the alcohol, the endless drugs, the addictions, the pornography, the masturbation. All of those things we let creep up into our life, and they always creep up on us when we are stagnant, when we're not moving, when we aren't pushing ourselves, when we aren't battling and pushing through resistance like men are designed to. As men, let us simply refuse to let these things destroy us any further. Let us simply refuse to give in to these temptations. And the best way that you can avoid these temptations and you can avoid these destructive poisons in your life that are destroying you, that are rusting you, because rust never sleeps. If you have a shovel laying in your old garden shed, or you have a wheelbarrow in your backyard, you'll know that rust never sleeps. And your passions and your vices and your addictions are the rust of mankind. So we cannot sleep if rust doesn't sleep. We have to be constantly vigilant. We have to be constantly aware of the demons and how sneaky and how tricky and how stealthy and how patient and how clever they are when they try to make us slip up. A real man is constantly trying to improve. is constantly learning, is constantly trying to better his mind, his body, and his spirit. Any problem that you are faced with, you need to be learning about. Any problems that you think you will face in the future, you need to be constantly learning and constantly educating yourself on. And of course, again, above all, you have to put in the work. You have to face the resistance. You have to put in the effort. You have to try, and you have to keep on moving forward at whatever cost and at whatever pace. If you give in to your addictions and you fall into your vices, if you look at porn when you swore to yourself that you would never do that again, you have to get back up and you have to keep on trying. And that is going to be what allows you to become successful. You cannot be one of these people that fails 20 times and says, okay, this isn't for me. I'm just going to give up. I'm going to go back to the video games. I'm going to go back to the weed. I'm just going to go back to comfort. I just wasn't meant for this. These things aren't meant for me. You might as well chop your balls off and stop calling yourself a man, because men constantly get up no matter how many times they fail, no matter what the challenges are, no matter what the resistances are, no matter how many times other people tell you, what the hell are you doing, just give up, you can't do that, that's a stupid idea. You have to defy them. It is impossible to become good at something, or to become physically strong, or to become mentally sharp without constant perseverance. The constant action of falling down and getting back up, it's a constant variable that is part of a man's life. So every young man, or every old man really, this can happen to you at any age, but at some point in their life, they will have a pinnacle moment. There will be a catalyst. Something will happen that will wake them up, and they will no longer pursue the comfort. They will no longer pursue the easy. They will no longer shy away from their fears. The world does not care about men. The world does not care about men's feelings. It never gets easy for men, and it's never supposed to get easy for men. You should fear comfort. You should fear complacency. You should fear a sedentary lifestyle. You have legs. You have hands. You have all these different muscles in your body. You have a very capable supercomputer of a brain. And your body is designed to work. It is designed to constantly do. It is designed to constantly fight. At the end of every day, and at the end of every month, and at the end of every year, you should ask yourself, who are you becoming? Have you become better in your body, your mind, your spirit, and your soul? Not how much money have you made. That does not matter. Those things are ephemeral and constantly fading. But the eternal and the things that we will bring with us to the next life, to the eternal life, are the values, the virtues, your work ethic, your perseverance, your ability to resist temptations, your ability to resist pride, your ability to not care about what other people think of you, your ability to face the resistance from other people. When someone doesn't say hi properly to you and you just take it, you don't care. When somebody is slandering you behind your back, when they're telling your employer that you're doing things that you didn't do, and they're trying to get you fired, you just take it and you don't care. It's these sorts of strengths, it's these sorts of qualities, and it's these sorts of treasures that we should be trying to acquire and trying to chase in our lives as men on this earth. Every single day you have to be planning out a moment or an instance, a pursuit, something, a task you have to achieve that makes you feel seriously uncomfortable. Whether this be physical discomfort, you have a very hard workout planned at the gym, or maybe you're going to go do some cold approaches, or you have to give a public speech. That moment when your heart is beating out of your chest and all these people are looking at you, you have to give a speech and you're in fight or flight and you just feel like you're going to die right there. You just feel like you're going to have a heart attack. Right in that moment, when you're about to skydive out of the plane, it's in those moments that you know deep down that you can feel that this is going to grow me. If I can get through this, if I take one more step forward, there is growth, there is development, there is betterment ahead of me if I can just push through this. That right there is what the masculine experience is, and that is what men need to pursue. They do not need to be pursuing comfort. They do not need to be pursuing feelings. Feelings certainly have their place in humanity and in the human experience, but that is for women to indulge in. Women are the emotional creatures, they are the caretakers, they are the emotional thinkers, and for the betterment of society, God designed them that way, and they serve a certain role in humanity by being emotional creatures. But men should not be emotional. Trying to not be emotional and trying to be stoic all the time is of course going to introduce resistance into your life, and it's going to be resistance that you have to push through. Treat it like any of your other vices or any of your other sinful passions. Anytime you catch yourself being overly emotional, you catch yourself getting extremely angry and letting these emotions take you over. Letting these emotions take you over like a demonic possession. Every time that it happens, catch yourself and say, I'm being weak right now. Weak men are emotional. And you say that, and it will help you to stop being so emotional. Again, men are doers. We are doers, we are movers, we are shapers of the world and of the universe around us. We are not criers, we are not sulkers, we are not feelers. We are doers, thinkers, innovators, and fighters. That is what we do. Turn away from that and defy that, and you will fall into feminist thinking, you will fall into feminine thinking, and you will become disillusioned, and you will begin to rot, and you will fall into that downward spiral. Embrace traditional masculinity. It's worked for thousands of years, and it will always work. It is what we were designed, built, engineered, and purpose-driven to do. The general point of this video that you should take away is that you should raise your standards. Whatever standard you were holding yourself to yesterday should be absolutely minuscule to the standard that you are going to now hold for yourself. You are not going to accept being just average. You're not going to accept being just okay. You're not going to accept being neutered by this world. You are not going to accept being ignorant and uneducated to all of the information and all of the knowledge and all of the wonderful truths that there are to learn about in the world. Raise your standards of what you can take, what you can push through, what you can fight through, and what you can solve. What would break you down last week, or what would completely discourage you last week, is now unacceptable. You have a new threshold, you have a new level, you have a new tipping point at where you quit. And when you quit, you get back up constantly. When you start thinking this way and you change your standards, you begin to understand God's love for us. And God's love for us is very similar to a father's love. It's a very tough love. Because if you had a son and you really loved your son and you really cared about your son, you would want him to be the strongest, best, most resilient, persevering version of himself, would you not? And how would you give that to him? How would you give him that treasure? It would be through a very, very challenging childhood, full of resistance, full of challenges, full of problems, and full of moments when he really doesn't know if he's going to be able to continue one more step, when he really doesn't know how he's going to get through what you put in front of him. That is what's going to make men the best version of themselves, the finest quality of themselves. Be one of the men in today's world, in today's generation, who resist the programming of complacency, laziness, and pursuing comfort. Let it be known that we resisted, that we stood against the desire of mediocrity and perversion. Let it be known that you and I were real men in this world, who will be remembered forever.